What's this? Look! What's this? Come on. Come on. Come on. What's this? Come on. Come on. Come round. Grace. What's this? Come on, sweetie. No, look at that silly look. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, Myrtle. Good girls. Grace. Gracie. Our own existing biosecurity procedures are very thorough, so that means things like restricting the amount of access members of staff have to each of our areas. So we have a set team per kennel block. We have detergent and disinfectant regularly used throughout the day. So all of our kennels are washed in the morning. They're then washed again in the afternoon, and if necessary, at any point during the daytime.
Three harnesses in purple.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Have you got many dogs?
I've got 3 dogs. I was very tempted.
The veterinary profession has had to react quite quickly over the weekend, you know, to that single. Pet owners should be reassured and not anxious about their pets. Dogs and cats already have coronaviruses which infect those animals, which are quite genetically distinct and unrelated, wholly unrelated to COVID-19. There is a single report in Hong Kong, which you'll be aware of through the media coverage, of a dog which belongs to a lady who has COVID-19 in the colony, and that dog has had weak positive results from swabs from the animal's nose and from the animal's mouth for COVID-19, and is on that basis in quarantine. But I stress that simply detecting a virus from the swab from a nose or from a mouth absolutely does not indicate that the virus is able to multiply within the dog, and certainly does not indicate that the dog is then infectious to other dogs or to other people. It may simply be that in the same way that surfaces within the lady's apartment would likely be contaminated with virus, so when petting the animal, it's likely that some virus would have transferred onto the dog's nose, onto the dog's mouth. Surviving on the surface of the lining of the nose, or is just the same as surviving for a short time on the surface of a worktop, unless the virus is able actually to infect those cells within the lining of the nose, to multiply within those cells, and then to be shed back out from the nose. And there's no evidence from Hong Kong at present in that dog that that is the case. But obviously we await the results of the quarantining, the further testing and quarantine of that animal. In dogs, which I mentioned harbour 2 other coronaviruses, we would see problems associated with those viruses, for example in shelters, animal shelters, rescue kennels, where large numbers of dogs of unknown immune status are brought together, are perhaps stressed to some degree. One makes a similar observation about cats, which have a completely distinct coronavirus, and that problem will also often occur in multi-cat households. So we're thinking about close proximity between the animals. Very often in the original host species, the virus will be circulating with minimal to no clinical signs. Or if the clinical signs are present, they're very often mild. The prototype virus, if you like, was a bat virus, but then it transferred into a civet cat, and it was the civet cats at the wild food markets which were the source of infection for people. So absolutely you can regard, in the case of SARS, the civet cat as the missing link, and it's the comparable missing link for COVID-19, which is currently the object of scientific research.
So I haven't changed any of my own routine at home. I'd like to think that we have quite a good procedure in terms of keeping ourselves and Gracie and Myrtle clean. I'm a little bit worried that perhaps there might be some misinformation out there in terms of the risk that pets might bring to coronavirus and humans. But actually, the good news is that there is no evidence that coronavirus is transferable to animals, and certainly companion animals, dogs and cats. So I'm hoping that people will read the news, take advice, inform themselves, and recognise that actually their pets are a very important part of their household and they should be loved and looked after as they always have been. Good girls. Oh, good girls. Good girls. Come on then. Come on. Come on, sweeties.